What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode here of the Desai Guys Football Forum. I'm one of your co-hosts, I'm Desai, joined as always by my good friend, my good buddy, the other half of the Desai Guys, Mr. Tad Desai. And Tad, the streak is finally broken.
How dare you? You're lucky. Here's the worst part, is you were killing me, so I was like, okay, this is fine. And then I kind of came back to the point where I'm like, oh, I may be able to pull this off. Like, that's worse. That's so much worse of being like, I may be able to win this. And no, you got it. So props to you. Congratulations. You're only down 1-6 now.
1-5. You have five straight, and I have one.
Excuse me.
So,
sorry, so much better.
It's still impressive. There's not a lot of football left for me to make a huge comeback. But yes, finally have notched my one victory. I'm not going to be shut out this season in our head-to-head challenge. But yeah, so we're heading into week 10 now. Like I said, we have a good idea as far as how players are playing. There's, cleared up as far as the bye week, I think is the final bye week heading into week 10. I don't think there's any more bye weeks.
Is this really the final? I did not know that.
It might be the final bye week in week 11, but it's like we're coming close to wrapping up all the bye weeks as well.
Close. This 17-week schedule is so weird, man.
Well, it's 18-week schedule, 17 games. So, yeah, it's even more weirder for sure. But, yeah, we definitely want to get in some DFS action here for you guys. So we want to get into our value players like we usually do. So, Tad, I'm going to pass it to you here first. Who do you like in week 10 as far as your DFS value players, whether it's good, bad, or in between?
I mean, look, this is a guy, I think you picked him last week, and I'm going to pick him this week. But this is a sign that, look, DraftKings, we appreciate your contest. It's very easy to use and everything. You got to start valuing this guy a little bit more, and really everyone does, because Michael Pittman is a legitimate wide receiver number one. And ESPN needs to listen to this too, because while I was doing my research, I went to their site, and that's usually how I do this, right? Is I look at DraftKings prices, then I kick it over to ESPN, see what they say, kind of go off that. And they said, well, this guy's a high-end wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 this week. The hell are you talking about? This guy's a low-end wide receiver 1, and that is Michael Pittman of my Indianapolis Colts. And yes, I did say my Indianapolis Colts here, so I am definitely biased when it comes to this guy. But look, guys, I am telling you, he is a legitimate threat. This is the guy we drafted him to be, is to be T.Y. Hilton's replacement, and he is finally fulfilling that role. You look at everything he's done in the last couple games. He is the 9th-ranked wide receiver in fantasy football right now. He's basically posted 15-plus point games in the last 3 games. I say basically because he finished last week at 14.9, so we'll just do the friendly thing. Yeah, exactly. We'll just give you the extra catch right there. So, I mean, I don't understand why he's not getting so much love. And look, the Indianapolis Colts are playing the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. We mentioned it. Carson Wentz was your pick for, one of the best waiver wire pickups for this exact reason. Is the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is a joke. And I understand people are going to go, well, what about that Shaq Griffin shadow? Because Shaq Griffin actually has done a good job. He shut down Stephon Diggs last week. He shut down A.J. Brown a couple weeks ago. But here's the thing. Shaq Griffin's good at limiting the yards. He's not good at limiting the scores. And I'm not going to put that on Shaq Griffin. That's not his fault at all. That's the fault of a crappy defense around Shaq Griffin. So, if Michael Pittman can get a score or two, he's going to have a fine week. Fine as in, like, definitely 10+, probably 15+ if he gets a score. So, I think as long as he gets a score and those chances are pretty high, he'll be a great ad. And in case you're wondering, well, okay, so why is he a value pick? He's going for $6,300. That's prices of, like I said, a low-end wide receiver 2 right there. That's ridiculous. You can get wide receiver number 1 at a price for a wide receiver 2 at the lowest end of that spectrum. So Michael Pittman's by far my favorite pick this week.
No, it's understandably a very good pick, and I actually want to supplement.
With that said, Amir, do not put him on your lineup because he's going to bust hard.
So I actually want to supplement your pick with my pick, and that's actually a guy that I brought up earlier in this week in our waiver wire episode, and that's Carson Wentz. And I think, people, and when you play DFS, you usually always look for the stack, whether you're playing NFL, MLB, NBA, whatever it is, you look for the stack. So that's, multiple players within the same team. And the Colts have value players that you want to have as far as the stack. You can go with Carson Wentz, easily go with Jonathan Taylor, and you can easily go with Michael Pittman as well. So you can have a really good day if all of them hit, and I think all of them will hit because, like you said, the Jaguars are not that great of a defense. You have to look at.
I think people are way overestimating how they did against the Bills. I think that is playing a role in it. That's
fair. I think Josh Allen had a sensational game. Josh Allen did not have a sensational game.
I don't know.
Take it either way.
Scott Hansen didn't make it clear enough for me. He was freaking out all day Sunday about it.
No, but Josh Allen of the Jaguars, he had a sensational game. Unfortunately, Josh Allen of the Bills did not. And also one thing you have to realize, too, is that one of the reasons that the Jaguars were able to stay in that game or actually win that game and limit what the Bills could do is the Bills don't have that much of a rushing offense. So Colts are the exact opposite. They have a very strong rushing offense. I mean, I brought this up in the waiver wire episode. They averaged 150. They're averaging 157.4 yards over the last 5 weeks. So I mean, it's like they're absolutely dominating. Like Jonathan Taylor, I brought this up before. He started slow, but now he's absolutely tearing it up right now. Like, I mean, he's just a one-man wrecking crew. Like, you talked about it. It's like, you know, maybe Marlon Mack will get a ball finally. No, he's been a healthy scratch.
Marlon Mack, who people are calling of like, hey, he could be our starter, is a healthy scratch for us.
Exactly.
Hey, yeah, we don't have that room there.
Exactly. So dominant. So it's so surprising that, you know, DraftKings and, you know, all these DFS sites are valuing these Colts players a little bit lower. Because if you look at Carson Wentz's price, $5,900, under $6,000 for a QB1 potentially return on your investment. And it's like we talked about this. He had his best fantasy performance last week against the Jets, scored 24.18 points. He completed 73.3% of his passes, second highest completion percentage of the season so far, 3 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and 272 passing yards. I think he could replicate those numbers going against the Jacksonville Jaguars as well. And it's so surprising that you could pay so less for him and get such a good, exceptional value at the return of your investment with that price. Really, you can invest harder into some of those other positions in your roster. Like we talked about, you go with the Colts stack because I think, you know, Jonathan Taylor's a little bit pricey, but you can afford him. Michael Pittman at $6,300, that's an affordable price too. It's like you could build up a pretty good roster with the Colts stack. So honestly, if you're building a roster this week, look at that Colts stack because I think you have a really good day with these guys in your roster because, yeah, I really think it's going to be a one-sided match. Colts are going to be able to dominate on offense, and, yeah, it's going to be led by Carson Wentz and Michael Pittman airing it out against the Jaguars defense. So, yeah, QB1 performance at a QB2 price, take it every day.
Real quick, so these are 3 quarterbacks that are priced higher than Carson Wentz against the Jaguars. Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill.
The Tannehill one surprised me because they're playing the Saints this week.
Matt Ryan surprises me. I know that he's playing the Cowboys, but A, they have Trayvon Diggs now, and B, that Falcons offense is the very definition of inconsistent.
It's true. It's very true.
That's $5,900 is a steal.
Exactly. So, all right. So, obviously, we're getting off the Colts love here, Tad. Let's go into some.
No, we're not. Don't say that.
Let's move into some other players, maybe some other teams that they're playing for. So, who's another guy that you like this week or don't like?
Well, I was just about to say, you want me to go with my up player or down player?
Either way, surprise me, buddy.
You know what? Let's shake things up a bit. Let's sandwich it. We'll go good, bad, good.
All right.
I'm going bad here. And look, by bad, I don't mean I think this guy is going to totally bust. But for this price range, I think he's the 3rd or 4th most expensive receiver when it comes to DraftKings prices. I really don't think it's worth the price. This might be a hot take here. I don't love Tyreek Hill this week. I don't love it. So he's priced at $7,700, so $7,700. Again, this isn't to say he's going to have a bad game because he really hasn't had more than one super bad performance. He put up like a 4-point performance a couple weeks ago, but yeah, that's Tyreek Hill for you. He's going to do that at least once a season anyway, so we won't focus on that. But here's the thing is he's either going to go, and I have really complicated sounding stat, and I was like, this isn't going to sound good, so I'll just put it this way. He either goes for over 15 points or under 11 points. That's kind of where his in-between is at. So I don't love this matchup, and if you don't know what the matchup is he's going against the Raiders. And you may go, okay, well, it's the Raiders. They just released that first-round pick, right? Well, there's a reason they released him because that was a terrible pick. By the way, you want to talk about maybe one of the worst draft classes of all time? Holy crap. Like, that entire draft. I don't mean to make light of this, and I'm not. But you have Henry Ruggs with that horrible thing, and news just broke that he may get 50 years in jail now. So you get Henry Ruggs. Darman, or is it Damon? Which one? I'm pretty sure it's Darman.
Damon Arnett.
Damn it. All right. Damon Arnett. He didn't do anything bad. He just sucks. So he got arrested. Look at the rest of the draft picks other than Brian Edwards. It's terrible. So, good Lord, Mike Mayock. I know you like speed. I know you want to be like the new Al Davis, but just relax, man. But anyway, so even with the release of Arnett, this Raiders defense is currently ranked as the third best pass defense when it comes to fantasy. So I like Hill as a player, definitely not as a person, but I don't like him this week. I think he'll do fine. I'm projecting somewhere in like the 10 to 11 range, but for $7,700, definitely not worth it. And I know this might be comparing apples to oranges. Last time the Raiders went up against a divisional opponent with a loaded receiving core, or at least a loaded offense, they held the Los Angeles Chargers receivers to 11 points. That's receivers. That's not, they held Mike Williams to 11 points. They held Keenan Allen to 11 points. They held Cook, Allen, and Williams to 11 points total. So this Raiders defense is nothing to, kind of blow past. It's not something you can go, they're just a fluky good defense. This is a legitimately good secondary. So I don't know. Call it a gut feeling, but I don't see Tyreek Hill doing that well to justify that price. If you lower that by like $700, then I go, okay, I think that's worth the risk. But for $7,700, being the, like I said, the third or fourth most expensive receiver, not worth the risk. Just kind of, spread out your risk there.
No, that's fair, and we've talked about this multiple times already. Just the way this Chiefs offense has been operating is just not operating in all cylinders. It's just so exactly inconsistent at times. It's just very puzzling as far as some of the play calling that they're doing and just some of the risks or no risks that Patrick Mahomes is taking. And it's just like, we've sort of found out that it's like if you can contain some of those splash plays, those big, heavy chunk plays, which is usually Tyreek Hill on a deep bomb, this Chiefs offense can be limited. So it's like if this is the blueprint now to stop the Chiefs offense, limit the splash plays, which is obviously, like we said, Tyreek Hill, then if he's not going to have a good day, then how are the Chiefs going to have a good offensive day as well? So I could very much see the Raiders going in with a game plan of like, all right, our main goal, let's limit Tyreek Hill, and the offense will sort of stop themselves.
Exactly. Let's make Mecole Hardman beat us. Like, let's try to do that.
Mecole Hardman,
I think that's what the Chiefs' weakness really is especially with Edwards-Helaire out, is like, hey, let's make Byron Pringle and Mecole Hardman try to beat us. Good luck there. And I think that's why the Chiefs have been struggling so much this year.
No, it's true. It's true. Not having such great depth behind it. Like, they're good players, Mecole Hardman, Demarcus Robinson, Byron Pringles, but they're not guys that you can rely on week on and week out. Like, like you were saying, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, those are two guys you could depend on. Your Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley in previous times. Those are two guys you can rely on. Well, it's like Tyreek Hill, and then you can kind of count on these guys. So, I could very much see Tyreek Hill being a bust or, like, doing enough that he'll have a, sort of good fantasy day. But like you said, it's not worth the price. That's the biggest thing.
My prediction is he's going to end up with, like, 10 points, which isn't bad. But for $7,700, no, I'm not paying that much for that.
Yeah. You need to cross the 15-point mark. I'd probably even say cross the 20-point mark if you're going to spend $7,700 for a receiver. Exactly. So not a bad pick there with Tyreek Hill. I actually have another receiver who, he's usually been pretty good with the inconsistent play at the quarterback position, but for some reason, just this season, I think his luck has ran out, and that's Terry McLaurin of the Washington football team. They're playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week, who are coming off a bye. I know Washington's also coming off a bye, but here's the big thing. Very similar to Tyreek Hill, he is $7,600 this week as far as being a, one of the top most expensive receivers. He is the sixth most expensive receiver. And like I said, so far he's been the, scary Terry. He's been the F1 McLaurin. I mean, all the nicknames, like he's been surprisingly good with the inconsistent play at the quarterback position. Like he had to play with Dwayne Haskins, then it was Tyler Heineke, then it was Ryan Fitzpatrick for a little bit. Like, I mean, there's so many different guys he's played with, but very similar to DeAndre Hopkins back in Houston, he somehow found a way to make the production and become a very productive receiver. This year, though, unfortunately, has not been the case. He's only had 3 games this year with over 100 receiving yards. And on the flip side of that, he's had 3 games this year with less than 50 receiving yards. So it's like very hit or miss with this guy, and going against the Tampa Bay defense that has dealt with injuries to start the season, but now they're coming off a bye week. Lots of these guys are healing up. I think they'll make some of the adjustments, obviously, as they make a postseason run to obviously get one of the top seeds, because that was one of the big differences last year. I know they won the Super Bowl, but they went as the wild card. A lot of people were projecting them to win the division, but the Saints obviously won that division. So this is a situation where it's like they have the front position as far as winning the division. They want to maintain that because they want to host a playoff game or 2 going into the postseason. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be playing really well. Bucs are one of 7 teams to have 10 or more interceptions this year, and they're also tied for 7th as far as allowing the fewest yards per passing attempt. So I know Terry McLaurin is usually one of those guys that's like, oh yeah, he's going to go off regardless of what's going to happen. But I think for this week, very similar to Tyreek Hill, like you were bringing up before, I think for the price, I can't trust that boomer bust sort of option for this sort of price. It's like too risky. It's like, if he booms, it's excellent, but it's just, I don't know if he will against this type of defense. And, like I said, it's just based off the tracker. I just don't see it happening. So yeah, for me, it's a bad value play. I think you can spend your dollars elsewhere to improve your roster. And yeah, just stay away from Terry McLaurin this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I like exactly what you said with that boomer bust, because people are going to go, well, this is a Buccaneers defense that is not great against the secondary and just let up, 30 points to the Saints receivers. But that first point's valid. This defense got off to a slow start, but I think that was more because of injuries. They're starting to get healthy. They're starting to find consistency, because if you look past, or I guess before, that Saints game, they held the previous 3 teams to under 15 points for their entire receiving core. That's the whole thing. If you look at the stats, that's not just their number 1 receiver, their entire receiving core. I almost said Patriots. I'm having Tom Brady flashback. I'm so sorry, Bill Belichick. But I would say bring back Cam, but that's no longer a thing apparently. Hey, we might talk about that next week. But the Buccaneers defense, especially their secondary, is starting to hit their stride with that. So I 100% agree that, especially with McLaurin really being the only real receiver threat. I know McKissick is kind of out there, but like if you're trying to debate between McLaurin or McKissick, you're screwed from the get-go. So I agree with you. Especially that's a crazy high price for that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And also, especially when it relates to DFS as well. Like I said, he's had 3 games where he went over 100 yards. Those 3 games, he scored more than 30 points. But in the 5 other games that the Washington football team has played, he has scored 10 points or less. So that's just sort of trending in the direction that's like maybe you're better off spending your dollars elsewhere. Stay away from Terry McLaurin this particular week as far as DFS is concerned. So, Tad, we're sort of doing the sandwich here. So we started with a good player, went with a bad player. So let's finish it off with a good player. So who's your last good player that you like as far as value for week 10?
So, I'm not kidding. As soon as I saw this, my eyes kind of went wide. I felt like Charlie and Charlie in the Chocolate Factory were like, ooh, I'm putting him in my lineup. I'm not, though, so you don't need to worry about that. Don't put him in your lineup either. This guy is – I need to break this streak, man. I need to bring the streak back to life. It's Aaron Jones of the Green Bay Packers. And unlike Michael Pittman, this price drop actually makes sense because he – was last week rough for him. He's going against a bad Chiefs defense without Aaron Rodgers. People think they're going to lean on him heavily. I mean, man, look, the dude's an absolute moron. We won't get too into that. Like, he's an idiot. But clearly Aaron Rodgers carries this offense. So Rodgers, if, his immunization pays off and he comes back this week, I think Aaron Jones will be just fine. He'll bounce back from a rough week. And I actually understand why his price is dropping so much, because a kind of important thing to realize is he is losing a lot of receiving targets and receiving shares to A.J. Dillon. I know I said I criticized the draft pick at the time. I still criticize it, actually, for this exact reason. You have Aaron Jones. Use Aaron Jones. You don't really need to get A.J. Dillon involved there, but whatever. That's a separate argument. So anyway, I get that, right? Because Aaron Jones is losing touches here and there. But look, with Aaron Rodgers, the, hippie genius apparently coming back, I am going to make so many jokes about this from here on out. I can really see this Packers offense getting right back to normal, and especially you look at what the Seahawks offense has done. They're the third worst run defense in the league. So I think Aaron Jones will be just fine. He's priced at $6,900, which it's not, incredibly low, but that also places him closer to the 5 to 7 range when he really should be especially with this matchup, should be in the 3 to 4 range. So it's a little bit of a discount nonetheless. So I really like Aaron Jones to have a good bounce back game.
Yeah, the real funny thing, too, especially with the Aaron Rodgers talk, is that he came on the Pat McAfee show to obviously like his weekly appearance on that show, and a lot of people were criticizing him, and, I'd criticize him, too. He was wearing a Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker
that was his
sweatshirt.
Apology video. The Star Wars
whatever video it was, but it was just like, I was just like, why would you wear that sweatshirt, a ball sweatshirt?
I think he was trolling. He's like, you know what, while I'm at it, I'm just going to piss off all the nerds, too.
That's possible. But just, that was an interesting choice for sure.
He's a douche.
But yeah, I do like Aaron Jones this week. I think he could definitely have a rebound performance. And at that price, too, usually you see him above the $7,000 price range.
Exactly.
So to get him for under, I think that's a very good value pick right there for sure. So I'm going with a guy who I think is becoming Ben Roethlisberger's newest weapon, and that's Pat Friarmuth, the rookie tight end. And he's only $3,900 this week at DFS. And you have to look at him. Unfortunately, the injury news has come out of Steel City that Chase Claypool has a toe injury. It's not season ending, apparently, so it's just going to be week to week now. But they're going to have to monitor his status going into each and every week, obviously, as they play the upcoming weeks now. But that just means we'll see more Deontay Johnson. We'll hopefully see more James Washington. And, of course, we'll see Pat Friarmuth. Now, Pat Friarmuth, over the past couple of weeks, he's averaged 6.7 targets, 5.3 receptions, 48.3 receiving yards, and 1 touchdown per game over the last 3 weeks. Like, he's heavily getting more involved in this offense. A lot of people are calling him the second coming of Heath Miller. Well, let's slow the roll on that one. It's only his rookie year. Let's see if he can replicate that. But I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. And I mean, the loss of Claypool, I think, it's going to hurt this offense. But I think having a guy like Freiermuth, more reliable option, that's a little bit of a shorter distance of a target. Here's the big thing that I need to sort of bring up here is that Ben Roethlisberger, you said this before, is just he can't complete the deep throws anymore. He's just not that guy anymore. So here's a stat that, so a little bit of a complicated stat, but I just want to bring it up here. So Ben Roethlisberger's completed
it's almost 10 o'clock where I am. Take it easy with the numbers.
Hopefully it's not that complicated, but so Ben Roethlisberger's completed air yards per completion average.
Oh, it's not that complicated. Okay.
So pretty much what this means, a fancy way of saying it, but pretty much what this means is that however far the ball travels past the line of scrimmage to getting to the attempted receiver. So however the distance between the line of scrimmage and to where the receiver is, that distance of completions. That's what it pretty much means. He is the 31st among qualifying quarterbacks, which is, pretty much out of 32 teams, he's second to last.
Who's higher, him or Mike White?
Mike White wasn't a qualifying quarterback because he hasn't played enough games. That's why. That's why I had to put the qualifier of the qualifying quarterback. So that's 4.6 yards of average target depth for Ben Roethlisberger. So that just tell you that it's like he's not airing it out deep. This is not the offense of old where it's like, you hit a, Mike Wallace deep on the huge, 9 routes or whatever, or the, Antonio Brown on a deep 9 route, or, whatever it is. Just like that's gone. His arm just can't do it anymore. And then on the flip side, this is why I so much like Pat Friar through the rest of the season as well. And, as long as Ben Roethlisberger is the quarterback of this team, is because Freiermuth has an average depth of target, which is pretty much the flip side of that previous stat that I was saying. So it's like, how far is he from the line of scrimmage when this ball is coming to him? It's 5.1. So 4.6, 5.1, it's right in that wheelhouse there as far as like, okay, I could throw it this far, and Freiermuth is that far away. So that means a lot of targets are going Freiermuth's direction. And so I know that as long as Roethlisberger is playing in this offense, I think Freiermuth is definitely going to get more involved. We've seen it over the past couple of weeks. Like I said, he's averaging a lot more targets, 6.7. So he's going to get more involved. And for this week, he's only $3,900 in DFS. I think it's a really good value play if you're trying to build up more of your roster. And especially if he's still available in your fantasy leagues, your season long and dynasty leagues. I really doubt dynasty leagues, but definitely season long. If he's still available, go pick him up because I think he could be a really good addition to help you get to the postseason. Or if you're on your way to the postseason, you already have a spot secured pretty much, he can help you win some of those postseason games as well because, yeah, he's getting more involved. And like I said, just Roethlisberger's arm is just non-existent, if that's a good word to use, but it's just like not the same anymore.
Calling it a noodle arm is being generous.
Exactly. I was thinking of going that direction, but I was just like, that doesn't even help it either.
It's
just
like when you like overcook spaghetti and you take it out of the pot and it just like droops all the way down. You're like, damn it. Like take that times it by about 10.
Yeah. So definitely, like I said, where Ben Roethlisberger's lost as far as throwing the deep ball, that's going to benefit Pat Friarmuth for the rest of the season going forward. So especially this week in DFS, go ahead, Pat Friarmuth to your roster.
So, yeah, I mean, I like Freiermuth a lot. He's a little touchdown dependent for my taste, but, I mean, like I say this every week, and I will keep saying this until the end of the season probably. This tight end class sucks. So, if you can trade for him, just try not to sell too high on him, but if he's on your waivers, you're not going to find a better tight end to pick up. And, obviously, DFS, if, you want to kind of stack up on one position and try to find a bargain elsewhere, that's a pretty good bargain. I like this pick.
100%. So those are some of our value picks for this week. And hey, last thing that we want to bring up here is that we have a new sponsor on the show. We want to make sure that we're bringing them up as well. So if you need an edge as you place your sports bets this weekend, make a deposit using the promo code LAFB. And the good folks at MyBookie, those are the new sponsors that we have. The good folks at MyBookie will double your deposit. And not only will they double your deposit, but if you share the wealth with your friends and family, send them a referral link as soon as you sign up, and you will receive a 250% bonus with their first deposit. So not only will you get a double on your deposit, but anybody from your friends or your family or coworkers or whoever, if they make a deposit, if they use your referral link, you will get 250% of a bonus on their deposit. That is an unlimited offer to redeem as well. So invite all your friends, all your coworkers, all your family members, whoever it is, more the merrier. We're during the holiday season here, so the more the merrier. Sharing is caring, everything in between there. So make sure you join the party of MyBookie and make sure to use the promo code LAFB to get your first deposit doubled. Bet anything, anytime, and anywhere with MyBookie. I know we have our sports betting episode later happening this weekend. We're definitely going to be using the odds from MyBookie. We're making our own bets on MyBookie as well. It's a very intuitive website. It's optimized nicely for the mobile devices as well. They don't have an app, but that's why they make sure that the mobile optimization is very, very good. So you can definitely make all your bets on the fly. So it's a really great budding website out there. Go make your first deposit. Like I said, use the code promo LAFB and you'll get your first deposit doubled. And yeah, make sure you stay tuned for that sports betting episode coming up this weekend. But yeah, that will end today's episode with all of our DFS value players. Make sure you follow us at all the Twitter accounts that we have listed below on the fancy ticker that we have. You got my handle, Desai23. You got Tad's at TadDesai94. The show handle, Desai Guys. We're here to help you out with DFS plays, sports betting, season-long fantasy. Like I said, the trade deadline's nearing itself in your various fantasy leagues. Help you out with trade offers, stardom, sit-ems, waiver wire still if you still need some help making some adjustments to your roster. We're here to help you. That's why we made the change. We're here as the premier source of fantasy football for all of the LAFB network. Can't thank them enough for doing that. And hey, to everybody that's tuning into our videos, to the podcast, who's gave us a good rating, who's listening to us, following us, anything and everything in between, we just can't thank you guys enough.
And like Amir said, definitely check out MyBookie for some of the best odds you can find this weekend. And if you're looking at the odds going, I really like these, but I don't know quite where to put my money, because I get that. It's your money. You got to be careful with it, and that's why you're on a sports betting website. Check out our podcast, not our YouTube video, because a couple people have hit me up, be like, hey, you always talk about the sports betting thing. Where's the sports betting? It's on our podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the LAFB Network website. So that podcast will be dropping this weekend. So be sure. I haven't calculated my entire win-loss record for the season, but I promise you I'm actually in the positive. So I'm doing better than Colin Cowherd. That's hard. But definitely check it out because I did go, what was it, 5-1, 6-1? 5-1. I thought it was 6-1, and then you knocked a win off my record, you bastard. But so
it's not my fault you can't do math.
Hey, it's hard for me. I teach English for a reason. So be sure to check out our podcast this weekend for the best odds you can bet on. And as always, everyone, thanks for listening.